Well, thank you everybody for dialing in. I'm going to call to order the Dover School Committee scheduled for April 28th, 2020 via Zoom, originally scheduled for 7:30, actually being started at 8:17. And again, for the record, I will put my apology out there once again. Our joint school committee meeting ran a little bit longer than we anticipated. So I know a lot of you guys are juggling schedules and everything that's going on. And thank you for taking the time to dial in. Also, it's great to see all the Chickering and Dover family faces. It's been quite some time since we've all been together. And hopefully everyone is doing the best they can and staying safe and healthy. And we'll be back together at some point. So just wanted to wish everyone the best. Before we begin, there is something I want to read just as a state of formality now that we are doing a Zoom meeting. So bear with me for a second. The open meeting of the Dover School Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. This meeting of the Dover School Committee is being convened by Zoom, as posted on the Dover website, and that identifies the public how to join in. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, that you should take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Community comments this is for community comments, which we'll start all of our meetings with. Community comments are an opportunity for members of the community to be heard. We respectfully request that you please make your comments brief, about 2 to 3 minutes, and that you move the discussion forward by adding only new information, not necessarily repeating what has been said before you. And please try to avoid making these statements go on longer than they needed. Community comments are an opportunity for us to listen to the members of the community and not a forum for answering questions or engaging in a debate. Once the public comment section of the meeting has been concluded, we will move to the other business, and unsolicited comments from the community will no longer be permitted. This is standard operating procedure in school committee meetings across our 3 districts, and we invite everyone to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting, but also understand that you may be unable to do so and you can leave the Zoom call. We appreciate that you have taken the time to participate in this important process, and we encourage you to reach out to your school committee reps if you have any further questions or comments. We are also going to turn the meeting, I'm about to start the meeting, but before we do so, please let me cover a couple ground rules for this unique Zoom experience. I will introduce each item on the agenda. After the person presenting the item on the agenda will finish, and I will proceed to take questions from the school committee members. Please include your name before you speak. This is to the school committee members. And if you would like to speak, you can either physically raise your hand. If I see it on the screen, great, or there's a raise your hand function on the participant section of Zoom. And I will call you, and then you state your name and ask your question. Try to keep your phones or your computer muted as much as you can so you don't have background noise, and speak clearly. And that's about it. When we do voting, there will be, and many of you saw this in the last meeting, we will do it via roll call, so it'll be noted on who's making their vote one way or the other. So I'll ask everybody to unmute themselves. We'll ask for a motion, a second. We'll go through the roll call, and then that will conclude the voting section of that particular agenda item. And that's it for housekeeping. Any questions on that, school committee members? Great. So Now that we've called to order and gone through the ground rules, ground updates, are there any community comments at this time? I don't see any hands raised. Don, I don't think you probably do either.
Nope, I just would, nope.
Right. Anyone want to unmute themselves and speak up if the hand raising isn't clear?
I see one, Henry.
Oh, I'm
Me?
sorry. Is that a me?
Yep.
Yeah. I'll
Oh,
jump in.
hello, me. Good to see you.
Hi, me to Johnny. First, I just wanted to say thank you all so much. I see there are a lot of teachers here, which it's great to see your faces. Really appreciate all the communication we've gotten, all the efforts you guys have been making to keep us connected. Can't thank you enough. So really appreciate it. I guess I have two questions. As we're thinking as parents about the next year and also as the PTO is starting to plan for the next year, would love to know if there are any thoughts you guys already have about what the next school year will look like. Just curious, we might be in a wait and see mode, and I understand if that's the case. The other thing I wanted to ask about was the last school committee meeting. There was a mention of a reduction in force. Haven't heard anything else about that since that meeting, so was
I'm sorry,
curious.
my computer froze. Can you state that last? I heard you just say at the last school committee meeting, and then I cut out.
There was a mention of a reduction in force, and I haven't heard anything about it since that meeting. So I was curious if there was a chance for parent input. I know that there's going to be a personnel update later on, but just wanted to voice our opinions too. We've all had teachers that have been amazing, and especially now, and so just wanted to show our support for the teachers.
Okay, I appreciate that. We don't tend to respond, but I will take a moment just to quickly say, in terms of the school year, it's really guidance from the Secretary of Education and the governor. Obviously, we've now had this sort of recommended social distancing quarantine extended to May 18th, so everything's fluid. Any decisions that will be made with sort of information we have would be the way I would sort of answer that. You mentioned sort of wait and see. That's kind of what it is. So we're planning for the year as we would hope, but there's also changes that could happen that would be statewide. It wouldn't necessarily be a Dover-Sherburne specific item in that regard. Okay, hopefully that helps. But obviously anything that we get, I feel Dr. Keough and his team will let us know immediately, and they've done a good job communicating so far. And then with the reduction in force, we're constantly keeping our eyes on enrollments. We have a guideline of 17 to 22 students within our classrooms, and we know who's matriculating from one grade up to the next. The best that we have that information, we know who's coming in to kindergarten classes in terms of who's enrolled or indicated they're interested at the moment, as well as census information. This pandemic might have an impact on where people might go next year. So we have done a really, really good job year over year keeping an eye on the enrollment levels and staying within those, that policy, to be honest with you, of 17 to 22. And that is really what affects staffing. We've had years where we've actually added some members in the middle of it, sort of going into the year last minute, even though it wasn't budgeted for. But we just don't know that information until we understand where we are. But based on the information we have, that's what really dictates this, the staffing elements or staffing levels. Do I have any other community comments? Okay. With that, I'm going to move on to the next agenda item, which is a personnel update, and I'm going to return that over to Dr. Keough.
Thank you, Henry, and thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening. Interesting, I guess people just hanging out. Thought they'd pop into the Dover School Committee meeting. That's unusual. Actually, I do have some exciting and I hope settling news for the Chickering community. As you know, we are currently seeking a principal after the announcement of Laura's departure, and we had posted the position and had applicants, but we also, our timing was not great in terms of this pandemic. We know that, and I know from conversations with other superintendents, that many people are now hesitant to change positions, especially administrative positions, because when you move to administration, you give up your tenure, your professional teaching status. So some people, and having been through it myself, I can tell you, you always want to think about the economics, the current economic situation, and how things are looking in a particular community before you leap into a new job, especially if you have a family to support and things like that. So we were really concerned about our pool and wondering if this is the time to be looking for our new principal. With that in mind, I naturally started to think about people within the system who might be willing to do it, particularly within Chickering. And first and foremost in my thinking was Deb Reineman. Deb has been with us for many, many years. She has demonstrated, really since 2001, her commitment to Chickering. She's been a coach and a curriculum leader and an assistant principal for the last 10 years or so, and really lives and breathes Chickering School, and to me seemed the perfect candidate to step into the principal's position for the 2020 to 21 school year. And so I am proposing this evening to you, our school committee, that you accept my recommendation to appoint Deb as the interim principal for Chickering School for next year. Now, as you consider that, I will speak to the obvious, which is, well, if Deb were to step into that role, who would fill her role? And so I have had a number of conversations with Deb in the hopes that, number one, she'll receive support from our school committee this evening, and number two, if in fact that does happen, who would be best suited to fill her shoes? And you know, sadly, from my standpoint, not that many people have gone out and pursued administrative licenses, and which is perhaps telling. It's a tough job, being an administrator. I've always believed that as an administrator, you have tremendous potential and power to impact so many lives, because you are the person who really hires all the people who work on the front lines with our children. And fortunately, within our system, we did have one person at the elementary level, Mr. Jim Carnes, who is here this evening. Jim has been filling in as the acting assistant principal at Pine Hill School, filling in for Allison Gillingsrud. And so Deb interviewed Jim. I had a conversation with Jim, and we'd like to propose that the school committee appoint both of Jim and Deb as the interim principal and assistant principal of Chickering School for next year. For those who do not know Jim, he's been at Pine Hill School for, is it 15 years now, I believe, but he's been working with a number of different teachers. He's worked with a number of different administrators. He comes originally from California and worked in Brockton, as a teacher. He's been a PE teacher primarily at Pine Hill School, but has also filled in for long-term leaves of classroom teachers at the 5th grade level. And what I can tell you about Jim is that he is someone who is passionate about making schools the best they can possibly be for kids. He is a longtime teacher, so he understands teachers. He is someone who loves the kids and has a positive and upbeat persona. He believes in the growth mindset and has challenged himself. He's the kind of person who has reached out to me just to learn more in the 3 short years that I've been here. He's curious by nature. He's an excellent listener and problem solver. And I really think he's the perfect candidate to complement Deb in these roles. And I hope that you will support this recommendation.
Great, thank you. Before I ask for a motion to the school committee members, is there any questions or comments you might have for Dr. Keough? You can just take yourself off mute and start talking if you don't have to raise your hand. Great, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Can
Keough.
I say, Henry,
Yes.
a little unorthodox, but I'm struck by all the educators that we have here, and I want to take the opportunity. I think we should all give a huge shout out to all the work that you're doing. It's incredible, and I don't want to derail the conversation at all, but we are so blessed to have our administrators and our educators, and thank you so much for all you're doing for our kiddos and with your own families at home. Really, I'm going to get emotional, but really, really appreciate all the work you're doing. So thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Brooke. That's perfect. Wonderful. So to the school committee members, please take yourself off mute. Do I have a motion of confirmation of support for Dr. Keough's recommendation for Dr. Reineman as the interim principal at Chickering and Mr. Carnes as the interim assistant principal at Chickering for the school year 2021. Do I have a motion?
Rachel Spellman, motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Mark Healy, seconded.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? Okay, we know the drill on this one. Roll call. Mark.
Mark Healy, yes.
Leslie.
Leslie Leon, yes.
Rachel.
Rachel Spellman, yes.
Brooke.
Brooke Medeiros, yes.
And Henry Spalding is a yes. So I'll turn it back to you, Dr. Keough, and maybe Mr. Carnes or Dr. Reineman might want to say something, but I want to thank you, and I know there has been a committee that have met with the candidates, and this is wonderful. It's a great opportunity to have some continuity through this pretty interesting times. Some of it was planned, some of it was not planned, and I know Chickering will continue the wonderful work that Laura Dial has done and continue to move on. Laura and Deb have had a fantastic relationship, and we have a couple more months, obviously. Maybe not, I don't know if you guys are going in the office together, but if nothing else, get virtual conversations. I've said in our previous Dover meeting, I thanked Laura for her time, and we will have a couple more Dover meetings before the year ends, but I couldn't have been on the school committee for the last 6 years without having Laura sort of leading the building. She came in during another interesting time and created some consistency, really did a great job moving the curriculum, the students, the vision, the open-minded culture that we have through the building for the last 7 years. So Laura, I know you're attending the meeting, and I just want to give you a thank you from the school committee. Thank you from myself, and we'll have an opportunity to say thank you again. But this is a change that we wish you good luck in your future. We're excited about Mr. Carnes and Dr. Reineman, and we just continue to move forward.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to give my congratulations to Deb and to Jim. Welcome to Chickering. It's a fabulous place.
And thank you, Henry, for the support, and to our school committee for the support. I know Deb is going to do a great job.
Yep.
I'm excited about the fact that we can maintain some of the continuity. Laura and Deb have been an excellent team and have been key components to the leadership team. I don't believe before I came that our assistant principals participated in the leadership meetings. Did they, Deb? They did. Okay, well, good.
Sorry.
So the fact of the matter is our assistant principals have been really active members in the leadership of the district, along with the principals, obviously. So I've gotten to know Deb. I'm just really, really psyched that we were able to find someone within to take this role. This is really not the time to have outsiders trying to adapt not only to the pandemic, but to get to know people. And I'm just so thankful that that Deb is willing to take this on. And Deb, if you could say a few words, and perhaps Jim could as well, would be much appreciated.
Be happy to. Good evening. Thank you so much. I have prepared something because I'm afraid I'll go off script if I don't. I am truly honored to be asked to step into this role. You know that I love Chickering and I love Dover, so it's all going to be a great thing. I'm particularly looking forward to working with our amazing staff and families and students in the new normal of 2020. I'm thrilled that Jim will be joining us from across the river, and it will provide a great opportunity for Pine Hill and Chickering to work together, and for Jim and I to work alongside our teachers and students when we return to school, either whether distant or actually in the building. So thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Jim, welcome. You're still muted.
Nope.
Welcome, Jim. I know your old hat with the Zoom stuff, because I've seen the invitations going out across the Pine Hill community. But you know, on behalf of the teachers and the folks from Dover, thank you so much for your willingness to do this. I know that you and Deb are going to make a great team, and I am very excited to see where we go. And if there's anything you want to chime in.
I'd love to. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and also thank you, Henry, for the warm welcome into the Chickering community. I really appreciate that. I'm super excited about moving over to Chickering and serving as the assistant principal. I'm looking forward to working with the Dover students and the teachers and families. I've had the good fortune of being in a lot of different professional development opportunities with a lot of Chickering teachers, so I do know some people over there. I had the good fortune of working with Deb this year in my interim role as assistant principal to plan for MCAS and other things like this. So I'm really excited about this. In order to get to know the Chickering community, parents, teachers, staff of Chickering, and students, I plan to invite people in just for some meetings. Hopefully it'll be in person, maybe over Zoom, but just to get to know people and kind of get a sense of the pulse of the Chickering community. So I humbly look forward to becoming a part of the Chickering administrative team and the greater Chickering community. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thanks, Jim.
Great. Any other business? I have one quick question to the school committee before we end. All right, Brooke did steal a little bit of my thunder as I'm looking through the participant list and seeing all these wonderful teachers. I know how you feel figuring out this Zoom thing. It's unbelievable. So thank you guys. You know, in the last meeting, it was one of those, someone brought up, if we were to decide to go remote learning 100%, that would be quite a discussion to have and hear what kind of feedback we would get about that from the community. But B, it would be something that would be done years and years and years in advance and try to get implemented, not on the fly in the middle of a pandemic. Working from home is not easy with your children are there. I'm sure teaching is not easy from home when your children are there, for those of you that have little ones. So thank you for, as someone told me, starting to become comfortable being uncomfortable. Thank you for trying new things. You know, I have a Chickering student. She loves her interactions with the teachers when she has it. She loves seeing her classmates. She loves her little assignments that she gets. She's gotten better at it. She was not very good at it to begin with. So I have less interaction with her during the day, whereas I used to have a lot. So we're all getting our sea legs. And it's just fantastic how everyone comes together. I know there's been a lot of work, and you know, we truly do love you guys, and thank you for all the work you've been doing.
Yeah, Henry, if you don't mind, I have to echo those sentiments. I just want to thank all of you. I can see we have close to the whole complement of our staff, which speaks to you know, the professionalism of this group. And I'm sorry we've kept you guys up so late, but your efforts do not go unnoticed. We hear far more positive feedback than anything else. And you know as well as I do that no matter what kind of change you have, and we've had plenty through the years, some people don't like it. But the overwhelming majority of our families and community members are so appreciative. As Brooke demonstrated, just the pure emotion that people express in terms of their gratitude for everything you guys do. So thank you for everything. Please don't give up hope. We will come back. We you know, we don't know when, but we do know that we're strong and we will survive. So thanks again to everyone, and thank you to the school committee for your support of Deb and Jim.
Great. Quickly for the school committee, our next meeting via Zoom most likely is May 18th. I'm going to ask you a question, and we don't have to set a time, but to save us all meetings at 8:45 during when everyone's working from home, I'm going to propose that we try to meet earlier, 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that. So you'll hear from me. For anyone that's dialing in, you're more than welcome to come to a meeting a little bit earlier next month. But we'll look to maybe start a little bit earlier, so it's not, you know, right in dinner time or right in every other activity that's happening at this hour of the day. So you'll hear from me, but just kind of put that in the back of your mind and think about maybe a between 4 and 5 start as opposed to a 6 or 6:30 start. With that, our meeting is adjourned, and thank you very much to everybody, and congratulations, Deb and Jim. I look forward to seeing you guys around the halls at Chickering soon.